Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb had written a paper that drew a chilling connection between two of the most mysterious events in modern astronomy, the famous WOW signal of 1977 and the interstellar object known as 3I Atlas. By analyzing the coordinates, distances, and timing, Loeb noticed something extraordinary. 3I Atlas had been positioned only a few degrees from the source of the WOW signal just days before it was first detected. On August 15, 1977, astronomers using Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope recorded a powerful narrowband radio signal near the hydrogen line, a frequency long believed to be a natural communication channel for intelligent life. The signal was clear, strong, and lasted exactly 72 seconds, the precise amount of time the telescope could hold a fixed point in the sky. When astronomer Jerry Amon circled the data and scribbled "WOW" in the margin, that single word marked one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Decades later, the world waited for another revelation, this time from NASA. October 3rd had been marked as the day of discovery, when high-resolution images of 3I Atlas, the strange interstellar visitor, would finally confirm its nature. Was it a comet, or something far more advanced? NASA assured the public that once the Mars orbiters captured the object's closest pass, just 29 million kilometers from the planet's surface, humanity would have its answer. The world held its breath for that single image, the one that would tell us what had entered our solar system, and then October 3rd arrived, but instead of a global announcement, NASA's official pages displayed the same sterile message: under maintenance, unable to update. At the time of its Mars flyby, 3I Atlas was hidden behind the Sun on the far side from Earth. No ground-based telescope could see it. Only NASA and ESA spacecraft orbiting Mars had the vantage point to observe it directly. But those eyes in the dark went silent. Whispers spread across the scientific community. Had NASA seen something it couldn't release, something too disturbing to reveal? Some believed the images were withheld to prevent chaos. Others thought the blackout was deliberate, a pause to buy time before disclosure. Then one voice broke the silence. Astrophysicist Drew Doss, a little-known but meticulous researcher, uploaded a 9-minute video on October 3rd. Using images from NASA's Perseverance rover, Doss showed a faint streak moving across the Martian sky. Frame by frame, the streak refused to match predicted star patterns. When Doss overlaid NASA's own trajectory for 3I Atlas, it didn't align. The object wasn't where NASA said it would be. It wasn't following the path scientists had predicted. Yet the data left no doubt. The streak's chemical fingerprint, its ionized gases, the strange nickel-rich plasma with no iron, matched perfectly with previous readings from 3I Atlas. It was the same object, only now it was off course. That was the true shock. Comets can brighten, fragment, or even disintegrate, but their orbital paths, their trajectories, remain constant unless acted upon by an immense force. And yet, 3I Atlas had deviated from every published prediction. Until October 2nd, NASA's models were precise and stable. 3I Atlas would pass Mars at 0.2 astronomical units, glide past Jupiter, loop near the Sun, and then exit the solar system. No risk to Earth, or so it seemed. But when Doss's footage and telemetry from the Perseverance rover and ESA's trace gas orbiter were analyzed, a subtle anomaly appeared. The object had drifted inward, barely a few arc-seconds. But that tiny shift meant something colossal. 3I Atlas had moved almost 2 million kilometers closer to the Sun than expected. At first, scientists assumed error, timing miscalculations, calibration flaws. But then China's Tianwen-1 orbiter and the European Mars Express confirmed the same result. The shift was real. Physicist MICHIO Kaku described it as a lesson in cosmic fragility. Even the smallest misstep in the gravitational ballet of planets could spiral into catastrophe. He suggested that as 3I Atlas passed Mars, it dipped deeper into the planet's gravitational well, lower than expected. That subtle difference could have slingshotted it, redirecting its orbit inward. But even Kaku admitted gravity alone wasn't enough. Around the same moment, ESA's trace gas orbiter detected a violent plasma spike near the object, a venting event. In space, when gas erupts from one side of a body, it acts like a jet engine, pushing it in the opposite direction. Combined with Mars's gravity, that microburst changed 3I Atlas's velocity by just 6 meters per second, slower than a person walking. Yet in the vast silence of space, that was enough to rewrite its future. Instead of heading away from the sun, 3I Atlas was now spiraling inward, its new orbit tighter, faster, and far less stable. Simulations from MIT and independent observatories revealed something chilling. Between November 15th and 27th, 2025, the object's path would intersect the exact plane of Earth's orbit. The odds? 45%. Some models showed a harmless near miss. Others, a glancing atmospheric skim, and in a few, direct impact. Even without collision, the results would be devastating. Its electromagnetic field alone could disrupt Earth's magnetosphere, warp weather patterns, and cripple satellites. A direct hit would unleash energy equivalent to 50,000 Hiroshima bombs, enough to ignite the skies, flatten continents, and plunge the planet into a darkness that could last years. It would not be an end in fire. It would be an end in silence. And still NASA said nothing. Avi Loeb had been warning for months that 3I Atlas wasn't behaving like a natural object. He urged NASA to treat it as an asteroid-level threat, but officials dismissed his concerns. "It's a comet," they said. "Perfectly natural, no danger to Earth." But now the numbers told another story. At the same time, NASA cited budget issues and temporary suspensions. 3I Atlas's trajectory had shifted, inexplicably, dangerously. Loeb went on. Record calling the change alarming, not just because of proximity to Earth, but because of what it implied about the object's nature. It had survived the Sun's most violent coronal mass ejections without shedding a tail. Its mass, 33 billion tons, remained stable. Its internal energy output exceeded 10 gigawatts, and its spectrum showed nickel with no iron, a combination found nowhere in nature, only in industrial processes. It had accelerated from 60 to 68 kilometers per second as it neared the Sun, and now it had altered course. Loeb posed the unthinkable. If 3I Atlas wasn't natural, was it responding? The alignment with the wow signal, the precision timing, the absorption of solar radiation instead of deflection, all hinted at intelligent design. Anything that can change trajectory once, Loeb warned, can do it again. Elon Musk joined the conversation during a live stream, saying, 3I Atlas doesn't look like a rock anymore. It looks engineered. He noted that a gravitational assist could alter orbit slightly, but this level of precision, it resembled a controlled burn, exactly the maneuver a spacecraft would execute for maximum efficiency. If true, we weren't watching a comet. We were being watched by a probe, and it was now heading into Earth's orbital plane. So the question remained, did 3I Atlas change course by accident or by intent? Then came the transmission, a structured, undeniable signal. Cold, mathematical, intelligent, it erased centuries of speculation in a single moment. Humanity was no longer alone. The question that haunted every scientist and strategist was, should we respond? Silence offered safety, or the illusion of it. Replying could reveal our location, our technology, our vulnerabilities. Yet ignoring the message felt like defiance against something that already knew we existed. For every civilization in history, first contact between unequal powers ended the same way, with the weaker paying the greater price. This was not a warning. It was confirmation. For years, the possibility of being observed had lived on the edges of theory. Now it was fact. The transmission was not chaos, it was order. Not noise, but strategy. And that made it terrifying. At first, the signal seemed simple, repetitive, redundant data meant to survive interference. But as researchers dissected it with advanced algorithms, hidden layers began to emerge. The patterns were not random. They contained depth, structure repeating across multiple frequencies, as if the message were written over itself in invisible ink. It wasn't a single broadcast. It was a system. Each layer revealed more as our decoding methods evolved. as if the sender knew how fast our technology would advance. The message was designed to grow with us, to reveal its secrets only when we were ready to understand them. That realization struck harder than any revelation of alien life. Whoever sent it had mapped our progress in advance. They knew who we were and what we were becoming. The signal's physical characteristics defied explanation. Its coherence had survived across interstellar distances with virtually no degradation. The energy required to maintain such precision was beyond comprehension, yet executed with impossible efficiency. Some speculated it hadn't traveled conventionally at all, that it had folded through space-time itself. If they could communicate that way, what else could they do? Debate fractured the scientific world. Some saw curiosity, not hostility. Others warned that no civilization would spend that much energy unless the goal was deliberate. Predators rarely announce their intent. They observe, they study, they wait. The three-eye signal, as it came to be called, felt less like an introduction and more like reconnaissance. Even philosophers joined the discussion. To many, the true shock wasn't that we'd been contacted, but that we'd been observed long before we noticed. Humanity wasn't the storyteller of the cosmos anymore. We were the subject, and perhaps we always had been. Government agencies demanded to know whether the signal carried risk. Could it infiltrate systems through resonance? Models suggested that when converted to binary, its structures aligned eerily with modern data protocols, as if designed for compatibility. That could mean communication or infiltration. In either case, Earth had been pinged, tested, probed. Archived telescope data was re-examined. Buried within the static of decades-old recordings, faint echoes of similar signals appeared, older, weaker, but consistent. It became clear this was not the first message, only the first one we were capable of understanding. And the timing of Free Eye Atlas's course change was no coincidence. As rumors spread, fear followed. Not the fear of invasion, but of irrelevance. The sense that humanity's story had already been written by something greater, older, colder. Religions fractured under the weight of ambiguity. Some saw proof of divine watchers, others saw blasphemy, a challenge to creation itself. Artists painted visions of awakening, collapse, surrender. Philosophers spoke of cosmic humility, but the public felt only the void, that unbearable knowledge that we were not the narrators of the universe. We were being read. Inside government bunkers, leaders argued over the next step. Should we respond? Should we stay silent? To answer meant revealing ourselves. To ignore meant risking misunderstanding. Neither choice felt safe. Both carried the weight of extinction. For the first time in human history, the question wasn't whether we were alone, but whether we should have wanted to be. The object that had entered our solar system was no longer a mystery of rock and ice. It was a mirror. And in that reflection, humanity saw itself, fragile, small, and profoundly